just want to talk about DevOps tasks for home games. It's a good conversation topic. And I mentioned that we're double recording, just trying to give the thing. So this is 43. Remember that. But you can just edit whatever I have my topics.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I've never gone into an episode knowing what episode number we're on. I read the top number or I go to the previous number and just go off of that. There's a strong possibility that if you put number like 45, I would not question it on the next one. I'm just like, oh, we're on number 45. Let's do it.
Episode 963. You're just like, fuck, time flies.
We all know how great I am at counting and time telling and just estimating how long something will take me or has taken me.
Yeah, it's really your strong suit, you know.
Numbers. That's what they call me, the crunch, you know.
They call you the crunch?
Yeah, they call me the crunch because I'm always crunching numbers.
I don't believe you.
Good. I'd be concerned if you're like, who calls you that? Because I'm terrible at arithmetic.
Have you ever had a proper nickname?
Have I ever had a nickname?
Yeah.
Sorta, kinda. When I was in elementary school, actually I was in kindergarten, I became friends with this girl, and I ended up meeting her like whole family, like her younger brother, her mom, her dad, and they all used to call me Yazeed. It started as a joke because I think the dad misheard my name when she was talking about me, but it just kind of stuck. So like her whole family would call me Yazeed whenever I saw them.
Did you consent to that? Because that seems disrespectful.
I thought it was funny because like they all knew me and they got like I got along with her and I got along with all of them, and her brother like loved me, so that was cool. But so I just figured that it was just like a silly nickname that came up from misunderstanding. Because like when a young brown boy just tells you, "Hi, my name is Yazeed," you're gonna mishear it. You're just gonna be like, Yahtzee? This boy's named after the board game. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get it.
I don't mind. But ever since then, it's like I haven't had a nickname since elementary school. So it's been like 20 years or something.
I guess I've just never been in a situation, like I've never worked in a firehouse, for example. So I've never been in a situation where they're just like, oh, you pissed on the floor, we're going to call you Wet Socks, you know? It's like
oh, no.
Like I've never had a nickname come out genuinely like that. It's just like, okay, Joseph, and then people assume they can call me Joe, and I don't like it. So I guess like, I've never had a nickname like that.
Sometimes I call you Joey G.
That's because you're just making fun of me and my. that's okay.
So just I don't know if my mic picks this up, but when I laugh in this chair, it squeaks like the clown nose from circus. I don't know how to stop doing that because when I laugh, it's forceful. My body shakes a little bit and it squeaks.
Yeah. That's the thing you do with your laugh. It's like a whole body, like
it's
an
a
event.
Whole body experience. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's good for the joke teller though. It gives you that visceral reaction, like you're doing good. It's like a hit marker in Call of Duty. Like you see the man shake, you know.
I'd hate it if somebody no-sold one of my jokes. Like I hate it when people no-sell my jokes and they say like after I tell a joke and I can see that they thought it was funny, but their only reaction is to like, oh, that's pretty funny. I hate, dude. It kills me.
I fucking hate when people just say that's funny. It's like, then laugh, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I put my all into it. When someone tells me a joke that's funny, when I tell a joke that's funny, I laugh.
Yeah. Well, laughing is like the natural reaction to things. You should laugh, but I know a few people, not that I'm like really friends with or whatever, but just people where you tell them a joke, it's just that's really funny. It's like, how do you respond? Like, you're really giving off a very Stonewall energy at someone making a joke, you know?
You can't even tell if that's sarcastic or not. It's the best one. It's like the worst one when you're like, your tone tells me that was not funny, but your words are telling me it was.
Yeah. And I mean, JC kind of does that.
JC, it kills me. It kills me every time he does it to me. And I know he does it on purpose to me.
Yeah. But you know that you really got JC when he does the ha! And he like does the one big loud. Yeah.
Oh my god! I used to keep a spreadsheet of when I could make JC actually laugh, and it It was not very big.
That's some serial killer shit, dude.
I don't know what it is about me and tracking weird data like that. I like to track statistics about my life.
Oh, I get that for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be fun to build a watch app that just heard all the words that you said all day and then gave you a tally of every individual word that you said. So maybe if it's, I want to stop. Yeah, it's like I want to stop saying like so much. I want to stop swearing so much. So you could just look at your tally every day and say, okay, well, I'm getting better. Here's my graph of fucks. You know, it's going down.
Somebody clip that and then just use it when someone says something that you're not into.
yeah, that could be. Then that's your marketing thing, right? You have your app that tracks your words, and then you have the meme later of like, here's a graph of my fucks over time, and it's just like I've given less of a fuck as I've gotten older, and it's like, haha, 4,000 likes on Twitter, and then you have free advertising. This is the whole thing, you know.
Or you become like, not Wendy's. Who was the one who did the commercial with the memer?
That's Wendy's.
Oh my god. Maybe
like a boss.
Yeah. Or whatever the fuck. But that was like 10 years too late for that meme. It just felt so awkward.
But they still do that stuff. Their whole marketing team is now just this.
Is their Twitter.
Yeah. I kind of hate it. You know?
I kind of like it.
I mean, it's sometimes it's funny content, but it is literally just advertising. And it just makes me feel nasty, you know?
I'd rather have people on Twitter saying, like, calling people, like, a lying, like, fat person than like, an ad on YouTube, basically. Like, I'd rather... Because, like, you have to follow Wendy's on Twitter to see their ad, basically. It's like you have to, like, opting in.
Not always, because they do promoted tweets.
Huh?
They do promoted tweets, so it's not always... You have to follow them.
Oh, really? I've never once seen a promoted tweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have an app, or do you have the like a website? Do you use the website?
Their website.
Do you have ad blocker?
Yeah.
Well, so I'm sure it might be hiding promoted stuff.
Oh, that's okay. Well, that's unfortunate. But I felt like it was like it was like a way of like opting into an ad experience, basically.
You can opt into personalized ads, so they can pull in your data to show you things that you like, and they frame it as a feature, but it's actually just getting more of your info to show you your ads.
Well, no, I meant like following Wendy's on Twitter is opting into Wendy's ads. Basically.
Yeah, that is.
I'd rather that than just getting like a shotgun blast of like random garbage ads all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done some home games ads on Twitter before, and it's, you know, you basically write a tweet, and then you say, I want to promote this, and then it'll show up in other people's feeds. That's a promoted tweet. So people who don't follow you see it, but that's how Twitter makes money, you know. Yeah. So I think it could be an effective thing of advertising. I just think there's a line between entertainment and advertising, like the content and the ad. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if we ever had a sponsor, not that we ever would, but if we ever had a sponsor.
We might. Don't say that.
Well, whatever. I mean, whatever. But if we had a sponsor.
Makes $1 bajillion, and then we sponsor
but I guess,
it.
But see, I don't want to make $1 bajillion from sponsors, because then that kind of ties us to a sponsor. You know, if it's like, I don't want to name any companies by name, so like, let's just say fucking Joko. Joko over here sells a product that we like, and we agree that the product is kind of cool. And then we have we'll call it a fruitful relationship with them. We're kind of tied to them in a way that I don't feel comfortable being tied to a corporation. You know, but anyway, that's kind of advertising in general. But I mean, if you have sponsored content in your content, you need to make a very clear distinction that what you're talking about is the advertising portion, and that it's not you having content that, like, this isn't my personal thing that Joko makes the best products. This is an advertisement that Joko is paying me for. And you have to be like really clear about that. And the line needs to always be there and be very clear. Content versus advertising. But when you have people retweeting Wendy's memes because it's funny content, you're actually just retweeting straight up advertising. And it's weird. I don't like it.
It is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you could be a fan of a good ad, and like, I guess it's kind of existed even before Twitter. Do you remember the "Ship My Pants" commercial?
No.
It was a Office Max some thing, right? Some store. But the commercial was a guy standing in the aisle of this thing, and they're talking about how you can get everything delivered. And so it was, I can ship my pants. And it's just like, ship my pants. Ship my pants. And they just keep repeating, ship my pants, but it sounds like ship my pants. And then it became like a big meme, right? People were sharing the YouTube thing, and you're sharing an ad. And I guess it's kind of existed before, but still it's weird to think about that you're just spreading an ad.
That's true. I think I have a different kind of opinion on it, because in some way, like, watching sports is watching an advertisement for that sport. And I watch quite a few sports, so I've just kind of like grown accustomed to that thinking, maybe.
I guess. I mean, maybe I'm wrong too, because it could, like, I would love if people retweeted my home games ads. You know what I mean? So I guess it's kind of like, as the advertiser, I totally get it and want it, but I think as the, well, whatever, you have to just make it clear it's an ad, I guess is my point. The second that you're advertising and it is disguised as anything else, it becomes a really fuzzy area.
I don't know, but I mean, like, on that argument, wouldn't, like, any tweet be an advertisement for that person?
I think
for any one person, rather.
If I, like, personally, I'm a fan of a lot of brands, right? Like, yes. I like certain things quite a bit, and I am the type of person who would go out and say that new MacBook looks great and that whole thing, because I'm an Apple fan. But Apple didn't pay me to say that. I'm saying that genuinely as a human being, like just a person with an opinion. The second Apple pays me for that, it gets weird. You know what I mean? Okay. So you think that there's a difference between doing something because you enjoy it and doing something because you're paid? Like, there's a doing something with, like, no reward versus doing something with a reward? Yeah. Well, I mean, Twitter is just you expressing... Yeah, like Twitter is just you expressing your opinion, or for whatever you're expressing. But I mean, I can go on Twitter and say whatever, for the most part, and then, you know, that's kind of just me expressing something. But if I go out and I tweet, I love the new MacBook, but Apple actually paid me for it, then that's not genuine. You know what I mean?
What if you do genuinely like the new MacBook, though?
That's fine, but I would think everybody at that point would have to still be skeptical of what I'm saying, because of course, like, I can't really say I don't like it, because I'm getting paid for this, and at a certain point, like, my rent is paid by Apple or whatever.
It reminds me, did you ever watch the Donkey video where he got sponsored by, I think, like, Microsoft to, like, do a video on one of their games, and they're like, oh, just, you know, do your regular review, like, if you don't like it, whatever, and his review was like, be ripped into it, and they never paid him for it, and they never let him air that episode either.
No, I don't think I heard about this. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, he talked about it. I think I don't want to throw Microsoft under the bus, because it might not have been Microsoft, but it was like one of the big game developer companies at the time, and they put out this game, and they're like, oh, Donkey, like, we'll pay you to, like, play our game and, like, review it and, like, and like just put a video out on it.
Yeah. And
he did. Like, he got the video and then he sent it to them to, like, hey, is this, like, okay? And they're like, no. Like, I think, like, at one point there's like God, I wish I remember what game it was, but there was like a point where there's like some bodies hanging in a tree, and then when he sees them, he just goes, oh, I guess they played this game too. And then he just
But so the video was released?
No, I don't think the video was actually released. I think he just showed some clips from that video, because he still has that video.
Why wouldn't he be able to release it if he has the content that he made? I think it was like a
contractual obligation thing, because he would have been releasing a game, like a video on a game that wasn't released yet or something. I don't remember God, I'll find the video and I'll send it to you. His explanation makes way more sense, because I don't remember the full story. But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he ever released that whole video.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure his partnership with whoever that game developer was died that day too. Like,
yeah, yeah, it's tough. Like, MKBHD did a video about, kind of transparency in his advertising, and his channel is sponsored by dbrand, the phone skins. And, I trust MKBHD, and I think it's kind of implied that there is sometimes like a weird business relationship. Like, obviously, to get a phone before it comes out and to review it, you need to have a business relationship with the people who make that phone. And even knowing someone personally who works at some company, and then saying something bad about the company about the phone that company makes, it would probably put a strain on that personal relationship. So even if it's not a requirement, it does something to you and your whatever. But he did a whole video about his stance and the purpose of his channel, and all that stuff is great. And then James Hoffman is the guy I watch who does espresso and coffee videos, and he did a whole thing about how, like, you'll never see me do videos for La Marzocco, it's like a really big espresso machine maker. They're a big brand, big whatever, but for like commercial espresso machines. He's like, you'll never see me do that because I'm partnered with La Marzocco, so I'll never even talk about them because I have a vested interest in whatever. And I think like making money off of ads is okay, but you need to be like that. You need to be so clear with like what you're doing and the difference between your opinion and the whatever. But it gets so fuzzy, you know. It's hard.
Right, true. I don't know. I never really thought about it before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what if I used a product that your company made?
I don't know. You just cut out, bud. If you used a product that...
What if I used a product that your company made? Like, I would kind of have a weird obligation to say it's a good product because you kind of worked on it.
Maybe. Or, as I actually expect you would do, you'd shit on me occasionally about it.
Yeah, because you're you and we have our friendship and all that kind of stuff outside of all of this. Yeah. But like, you know, what if you kind of meet someone along the way, right, who becomes cool? You meet them at a convention, you meet them at a whatever, and then you become friends. But you can't really trust that person's really your friend. That's just some person you met, and maybe they're trying to get something out of you and being friendly because that's their job. And then you think you're friends, and you're just like, in your head, you're like positive on them. And so you're probably more likely to be positive on the stuff that they do. But you're not real friends, so I can't genuinely say, like, that thing you made sucks. Because it strains it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is super weird. Are we ready to get into it?
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes of talking, so I'll probably... Yeah. I don't know how much of that I'll include.
I don't know.
That's I think it's important, though.
I think it's interesting, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess for people listening, like, yeah, that's kind of or my stance, at least, on ads in case we ever decide to get popular or someone decides to get popular.
I think I will have like a short list if ever that like one of these companies came to me and they're like, we'll sponsor you. I would be able to say no.
Yeah. I think because I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast. And do you want an intro, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 43 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. I'm Yazeed, and this is Joseph.
Hello. So, yeah, what was I about to say?
Just real quick, as you'll notice, Joseph and I are alone this week, so
this
will be a cozy episode. You're talking about the Joe Budden Experience podcast. The Joe insert name experience just flows from me at this point.
Yeah. Joe Budden was talking about how, because I think this past year, they hit their 5-year anniversary of their podcast. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of just talking about along the way the different kind of milestones and checkpoints that they hit and different things. And they were talking about in the beginning how they had these sponsorships with Talkspace and MeUndies and a couple others, the things that you've probably seen sponsored on a lot of different content like that. Mm-hmm. And how it was just weird because they kind of took money. They even said numbers, but they're taking money that maybe seemed like it was worth it at the time to, you know, put an ad into your content and kind of in some way mess with your content to put something else in there, to force it in there, and then get some amount of money. But in the long run, was that money worth it? Like that little bit of a sponsorship deal, just because it was a sponsorship deal, was it worth it in the long run to like sacrifice the content? Was that $1,500 worth what you did for it? You know what I mean? And it's kind of like an open question, I guess, for everybody who chooses to do that. But it was like a really interesting conversation. I love how open they were with it too. I mean, they said numbers. That's pretty crazy.
That is.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing, I think, of just advertising in your content. And so I think Patreon is a really cool thing. But even then, I think as a supporter of a creator, maybe you want to see them win when they're small. And then when they get big, you're just like, well, maybe I can pull out, like, I don't want to support you anymore. It's like the hipstery thing. And you kind of have to depend on people wanting to pay money for your stuff, and people are very finicky. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's kind of a hard thing to base your whole livelihood off of.
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, if REI came knocking, I'd tell you, please, Joseph, can we take that sponsorship? I don't know why they would, but if they ever did, I would be hard-pressed to say no to that.
Yeah. Nerds writing JavaScript is kind of the opposite of hiking and shit, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so first conversation topic, I was just saying I love Apple. I love MacBooks. I love Apple products. I'm bought into Apple stuff. I tried the new MacBook with that touch bar on the top. Worst fucking idea Apple has ever put onto anything.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What touch bar?
Dude, okay. You're familiar with the Apple keyboard, right? The Mac, whatever, just keyboard.
Yeah. I've seen him in the wild.
Yeah, and there's kind of all this controversy because of the way that they changed the switches, and it did something, and they became less stable and less reliable and all this kind of stuff. That's a whole separate issue. I'm talking specifically about 4 years ago or so, they replaced all of the function keys on the top row of the keyboard with this touch bar, which is a screen. It's a touch screen. Okay. With dynamically changing things. So you can imagine if you're in Photoshop, for example, this touch bar becomes a color picker. So you can just slide and pick a RGB value or whatever the hell, right? Mm-hmm. But if I'm in Safari, maybe it's all of my favorite tabs and whatever. But it's a constantly changing thing according to what the current application is. And the first run of them had no escape key, right? Because it's the top row of the keyboard. And so the escape key was a touch screen button. And if you think about someone who uses something like Vim, you're hitting escape as kind of like a home base often. Mm-hmm. And so this is my opinion. The entire point of getting good at typing is that you're not looking at your keyboard. You're not looking down. You're able to interact with this thing in the best possible way, the fastest way. I got good at this and I know how to do this. And then they say, well, for the sake of being feature rich or whatever, we're going to actually remove your ability to be efficient with this part of your keyboard, and it's a touchscreen, so you're forced to look at it. You have to look at it because you don't know what the buttons are. Mm-hmm. So it goes completely against the entire point of a keyboard, is to know what you're doing with it. And so the most recent run of them, they heard the complaints from the people like me, which I'm actually surprised that they did this, but they kind of went back a little bit and they changed it out for a physical escape key. But everything to the right of it is still a touch bar. So that's about as like, I would say the touch bar before that was a deal breaker for me, even though I love these laptops and I don't want a Windows laptop, but I would get a Linux laptop instead, right? That it would be a deal breaker. But so now it's just this really weird thing of hybrid touch bar, whatever thing. And I started using one of these laptops recently and I hate it. I hate it because like to do something as simple as changing your volume, you have to look down at your keyboard and do a touchscreen thing, and you have to hit the menu or the sound button. And it brings up a sound bar, and then you have to move it like that instead of just hitting a volume up or volume down. Or my favorite on this keyboard, I just have a roller for my volume. Mm-hmm. So I think it's mind blowing that like on a $3,500 computer where everything is pretty much ideal, something like that is just such a bad idea that can really mess with your whole experience. And I just wanted to give my update there. I hate that touch bar. Apple shouldn't do that.
Super similar to a lot of people's complaints about cars going to a lot more touch screen as opposed to dials and analog stuff.
Yeah,
because you have to like look at your touch screen as opposed to just touching a dial and like knowing where it is and like what you can do with it.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea. I think you have to remember what the point of the thing that you're making is. The point is to do my work or look at my content or whatever I'm doing on the screen. This thing here is kind of my interface to talk to this thing. And when you forget how people are really using your product and you make them look at their hands to do something that they used to know how to do without looking at their hands, it's a bad move. Mm-hmm. So for all those Apple employees listening, on the new MacBook that you're coming out with next year or so, love of God, don't put that touch bar on there.
What if they take it a step further and they remove like the home row with a touch bar?
Well, I mean, okay, like slippery slope argument, fallacy, whatever, but like, who's to say that one day it won't be all just a big touch screen. You know what I mean? And maybe they have some sort of haptic feedback or whatever.
Would kill developers, dude. I think developers would be so pissed if that was true.
But
can you imagine having to look at your hands while you're typing and then look up to see if you typed it correctly, then look down again, then look up again?
Yeah, I know. It'd be terrible.
You'd double how long it takes to write a line of code, basically.
Yeah. But maybe in the future, like drag and drop programming is a thing. There's kind of like a Wix for back-end developers, you know?
Scratch.
Yeah, sure. It's something like that. I mean, there's already things where you can kind of build a skeleton framework in a UI or whatever, and it gives you like the JSX for React or whatever that comes out of it. Mm-hmm. It's like that kind of already exists, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I feel like developers and engineers, no matter how good we get at writing a robot to do our job, somebody's probably going to have to be better than that robot.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Because someone will have to maintain the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even then, I mean, you know, think of how many, simple programming tasks. Building a simple HTML website with some simple JavaScript application behind it. A lot of these types of things can probably be mostly automated. And to a point, maybe in the future, maybe something like, there's already frameworks that can build an entire like REST API with just 5 lines of code on your part. So, I mean, it's not out of the question. I think it might just be a weird idea because people like me, at least, you get kind of this like developer thing about you of like, well, I write in my command line and I know the code I'm writing and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there was like a study done by one of the universities, like one of the East Coast universities, and they had developers ranked pretty highly on the like probability of being automated in the next few years. But they lumped together like web developers, like people who just did like front end UI stuff in like HTML and CSS with like full stack engineers and stuff like that. And I think like basically like the closer you get to like engineering a large product, the less likely you are to be automatable. And the closest you are to like writing a small application, the more likely you are to be automatable.
Sure, I can see that. Well, I mean, I think that kind of exists today without the automation thing, but I say instead of automatable, I guess in a weird way I could say valuable, because if I'm starting up a company from scratch and I need someone to build my infrastructure, my back-end services, my database, my front end, and everything that connects all of these things, the person who knows Azure, who doesn't know how the systems are run, but they just know that I can pick X, Y, and Z kind of product from Microsoft and tie them together with some other product from Microsoft and build an application. I actually don't know how anything works. I'm actually just tying together products that I'm paying for on a simple level. Maybe I'm adding some sort of thing on top of it, but the actual work I'm putting in is not the thing that built everything. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you can get someone who knows how to build everything from scratch. It'll take 10 times longer and be way more expensive and probably not work as well. But there's more value in that because they know how to do everything from the base. Meanwhile, someone who knows electrical engineering is more valuable than me because I don't know anything below assembly language. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So all that kind of stuff below that, like how to build a CPU, I have no clue. But someone like Ben Eater on YouTube, who does these really great videos of like building a computer from scratch, that dude knows things that I don't. He's more valuable and less automatable than me.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, but if everything progresses, everybody's automatable, but then there's still someone to fix the automation. There's always people, I guess, is my thing.
Unless we have robots to repair the robots.
But then who repairs those robots?
Each other. If a robot can repair a robot, then there's no
we're done for.
There's no need for people to repair robots because they can just repair each other infinitely as long as they have the resources.
Yeah, but what if 2 of them break at the same time? The fixer A and fixer B can't fix each other.
Then the economy grinds to a halt, Joseph, and We slowly descended in the caveman era all over again. It was a war between humans and the remaining robots for resources.
Well, that's Terminator. Well, I mean, not for resources. That's just because Skynet thought we sucked or whatever. But that's Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the Utopia version would be... Is there a Utopia?
I was just going to ask you that question.
I don't think there's ever been a Utopia story where there's also robots. Interesting. The Culture series. There we go.
Culture?
From Ian Banks.
I'm not familiar.
It is like this crazy, insane, advanced civilization. I think you'd really like it, actually. It's like super close to your ideal world, I feel like, where like people are free to make like any decision they want, and there's no one like in charge anymore. They make these like super hyper intelligent computers, and those like run the economy and stuff like that. And it's like everyone is just free to do whatever they want all the time, 100% of the time.
That sounds kind of... I get how that could be like my perfect world, but I don't think computers running anything is my idea of a perfect world.
They're like computers. Less computers and more like sentient gods. Like they're like they're like beyond. They're so... I think like they're so far advanced beyond people's comprehension. Like they really like don't even interact with people very often because it takes too long for people to respond to them when they make a question to them. See, like they cycle so fast, like their hertz, the rate at which they process information is so fast that if they pose a question to a person, it'll take that person too long for them to respond. So they just
so they're beyond communication.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, I don't know.
And some of them strap like big rocket ships to themselves, and they go and explore the galaxy, and they give each other like they give themselves like cool names, like walk softly and carry a big stick and. I don't remember some of the other ones. They're really... The names on their ships are hilarious, too. It's like, I think you'd really like the series.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Is it a book series?
It's a series of books.
Okay.
I think the series is called The Culture series by Ian M. Banks, I want to say. They're like so far advanced on like the technology scale. Like it's basically magic to like us. But yeah, it's really fun read, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like my ideal society, except for the magic. I don't want a robot god to control me or to be above me.
Well, they don't really like control people. They just make sure that you have all the resources you could possibly need. There's like they're post scarcity, so there is no like, oh, but what if I want like 1 million chocolate logs? They're just like, okay, have 1 million chocolate logs. We'll have more of them. Like it's a post scarcity society, so there is no more like. But if I have 1 million chocolate logs and someone in this other place also wants 1 million chocolate logs and there's going to be a road jam, it's like, no, there won't be. We have infinitely many of everything.
Yeah, but then robots still have too much power. I want to be able to turn off the robots because we made them and we should be able to kill them.
Oh, man. Go read the series.
Yeah, I'm sure this definitely seems like my thing. It's just kind of... We're definitely deep in the weeds at this point. So
we'll roll it back. This happens when we're alone.
Okay. Oh, also just wanted to mention we're double recording this week. So I'm recording 42 with Synovia tomorrow. So it's kind of a thing. But 42 is going up this Wednesday. And then the one that we're recording now is going to go up next Wednesday, which would be the 19th. So basically we're going back to double recording because the pressure of needing to record and edit within a couple days every week is a bit much. So, doing this whole thing. So me and Snowy are going to have some kind of different content for 42. Hopefully that comes out interesting. We have some.
Can I ask you to ask her a question?
Yeah, the whole point is to ask. Yeah, sure.
Okay. I would like you to both answer. What was your best and worst date together?
Oh shit, that's a good question.
Yeah. Don't tell me. I'll listen to the episode and I'll find out. But I would love for you to both talk about that on a podcast.
That's a great question. Okay, yeah, I'll bring that up. Yeah, okay. Cool.
It's gonna hurt your pride, I know.
I'm a very awkward person is the only way.
The funniest part of this is if you pick your best date as her worst date. Or vice versa.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That'll be our thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I guess did you want to just like move through your list or?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to start talking about the home game stuff just just to kind of point something out, I think your rebase didn't go correctly in your branches.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So in your rebase, you're using in your rebase for squish, your changes for squish, right? For shape, the shape branch on squish, it's using the colors that used to be there but are no longer there. And also you, I think, are using the wrong test, because you remove the part of the npm test script that calls the test runner and just calls your tests, which I don't know, because the other thing is that test file also has most of its testing functions commented out. So
yeah, well, when I was doing the merge, I had a merge conflict in that, and I wasn't sure which npm test to have, so I guess it was the other one and not this one. And then for the colors thing, I have those fixes, but I guess it's not in that branch because I have a let's call it a band-aid to colors equals colors.colors. So I have the thing, but as like my band-aid until I can go and rewrite every game or whatever. But yeah,
you shouldn't have to rewrite every game unless you made further changes. In my PR that got merged, and I did make those changes, that they should be using like colors.colors. I destructure colors for those colors.
Yeah, but I would have to go and update every game to or to change the way that they import colors, and then update colors.thing to all caps colors.thing. So it's not rewriting games, but it's changing the way that, because colors dot all caps colors is the way that you have it now. Colors.colors is the const. Before it's calling colors, no caps. So colors is in the name of the thing. I would need to rewrite everything. So colors is colors.colors, and then update the way I'm referencing colors in every game.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So right now I have a line that's just, this is probably not understandable at all for anybody, but it doesn't really matter. But I have a line at the top of every game that I want to run now, because I know exactly what you're talking about. Nothing renders because there's nothing knows the colors, how they work. But in every game that I've updated up to this point, I just add a hack that is, import capital C, everything else lowercase colors, which is just pulling in the entire module or whatever. And then colors dot all caps colors is the constant that has everything, because that's what it is now. There's colors dot colors and colors dot random color, and then colors dot colors dot red, colors dot colors dot blue. That's how it is now.
Are you saying that that's on master, or are you saying that's in your own personal branch?
I don't know. I don't know the difference at this point. Everything's a fuzzy mess. But
okay, because I'm looking at Clicktionary right now, and I pull in master, Clicktionary in master, and I pull apart the colors, capital all caps, like the colors const, into its composite colors, and where we need it, random colors. So all the games should work right now with the big colors changes that I had made previously.
In master it works.
In master.
But in my games, I reference colors, capital C, not the const colors. So I'm like module directly dot const. I need to I just need to find and replace capital C colors with all caps colors and bring in all of my imports to be the same as yours. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you making more than one game right now?
No, the branch that you're reviewing is like 3 weeks old, so I have a game on a separate thing.
Okay, I see. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah,
I think I need to rebase things that in the branch that you're looking at, but I was waiting on your comments because I don't want to go and update a bunch of stuff and then get comments and then have to update a bunch of stuff.
I see.
So
I think it looked good. The comments in there mostly like, this doesn't pass CI, which was, I was like, why is this not passing CI? And then I spun it up and I was like, this isn't spinning up.
What a mess.
I was like, that explains why this isn't passing CI.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's just the rebase didn't go off super 100% flawlessly. So some stuff probably just got, which I mean, is to be expected. That was like months of work and also like months of changes and just a lot of stuff between the two of them.
Well, no, I had all my changes and then we merged your stuff to master. So then I had to rebase, but I wasn't going to go and rebase everything until I had other changes to make, I guess is the summary.
I see. Okay.
Or not rebase, but like clean, like actually make it all run. If you were to merge that pull request as it is now, it would break everything. But I just, Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I just wanted to figure out what was going on with that one. But okay, I left you some comments and whenever you want to take a look at those. But Among Us is
Okay.
been... That's all I had for home games stuff. I just reviewed and then was figuring out what was going on with that stuff.
Sure.
I've still made zero progress in figuring out why the home games master branch CI still isn't working with GitHub Actions. I don't know yet. I'll keep looking.
Okay.
But earlier at the top of the episode, I was talking about the game Among Us, which is a super fun, like $4 game on Steam. But basically, because Joseph hasn't played it, there's two teams. There's the imposters and there's the crew. The crew want to figure out who the imposters are or complete all their tasks. And the imposters want to kill every member of the crew. So that's kind of how the game works, where the imposters know who each other are.
Is this like a shooter or like what's the interaction?
JC says it's kind of like WarioWare, where you have like a bunch of like little like subtasks, and you just have to like run around a ship to like do them all, and then the imposters just go around and like press a button to kill people or like sabotage things.
Okay.
It's a game of deception and lying to your friends, which is very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing it a ton. We have like 6 people playing it right now out of a total of 10, and like it's been great fun. I love it. Alex gets occasionally very mad.
Yeah, one of Alex's notes in here in our doc, because he's obviously not here, but he wanted us to, I guess, know fuck Yazeed in Among Us. That was just something that he wanted. So
yeah. Because occasionally you gotta like make a call, right? Like if you're the imposter, you gotta kill somebody, or big brain to get your team to kill that person by like voting them off into space.
Okay, so it's all just I'm assuming that the actual kind of game comes from lying to your friends.
Yeah, like the fun of the game is like trying to figure out who the imposter is, right? So like as you're doing your tasks, you're trying to like piece together like, because like you can find a body, right, of one of your teammates who's dead, and then you can be like, okay, I need to accuse somebody, and then you pick somebody from the list to be like, this is the person I'm accusing, and then if everyone votes to like accuse that person, you throw them out the airlock, and then it tells you if they were an imposter or not.
Does Donkey have a video on this?
I don't know.
I want to say I've seen a video of it.
Maybe. I'm sure you've seen videos. Like every streamer is playing it right now. Like it's just like
it's a new game.
I don't know if it's a new. It might just have become popular because people are looking for like games to play with their friends.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll go look it up after this because that sounds fun. I like. There's a game called Split or No Split or something like that too, where it's a free to play thing, and it's kind of about lying to you, but it's about strangers. It's like a one-on-one thing, and you're like robbing a bank or something, and you both agree to either steal the money or split the money, and you both have to do the same thing. And if you're lying, then you whatever get the other person. But that whole kind of game is fun. The lying to people. I'm terrible at lying to people.
Yeah, you should get it, and the next time we play, I'll hit you up if you want to hop in and play too. It's so funny because sometimes people like will mess up, like the imposters will mess up, and they'll just kill somebody directly in front of somebody else. Or like at this point, we're like learning a little bit more about the mechanics of the games, and so like now occasionally we'll see like JC was actually the one who pointed this out, but like there's a security camera room where one of the crew members can look at the security cameras to see like what's going on throughout the ship. And if the security camera next to you lights up red, that means that they're looking at you. And JC killed somebody in view of the security camera and then raced down to catch the person who was about to report the dead body because they seen it and killed that person too. It's like completely wiped out the trace and of like all that stuff. I mean, it's super funny to play, and you can have up to like 3 imposters too to make it a little more complicated.
Nice. That sounds fun. Yeah, it's
great.
And $4, that's like the permanent price, or is that a sale?
I have no idea. It was like $4.99 when I bought it, and I think it's been $4.99. I don't think it's on sale.
Nice. Very cool.
Like 3 people made that game.
Oh.
In the credits, it's like 2 people did the art assets, then 1 person did the programming.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. It's like, I don't know, games where like 1 or 2 people make them, like Super Meat Boy, or Braid or things like that, you know, where it's just a very small team doing exactly what they want to. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another game I've been playing called Witch Hunt, which is made by just like one dude. It's supposed to be like a super scary oogie boogie game where you're like a dude who's like sent out to hunt monsters, and all you have is a musket, a flintlock pistol, and a sword. A sword. And you're supposed to like go out and hunt these monsters in this like spooky, scary this place, and it's like, oh man, there's all this like scary stuff going on, but I don't find the game scary because one of the items you can purchase from the store is basically a landmine, and so I just littered the whole map with landmines. And so whenever the monster moves around, I just see lightning striking all over the map. Nice. I basically won the game by just breaking the bank and then just planting a ton of bombs. Little, like landmines everywhere, basically.
Nice.
I World War I the monsters, and it's going great.
Would you say that Spooky's House of Jump Scares is the last actually scary game that you played?
Yeah. Yes. Before that was Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and then Spooky's House of Jump Scares. Witch Hunt isn't scary because unlike the other games, they gave me a gun and landmines, so I'm gonna win eventually. I know that.
Right. What was the game? Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame is that game on PS2 forever ago.
With like take pictures of the ghosts.
Yeah, you have no weapons. You just take pictures, and it's like that's the kind of stuff that scares me. The second you can fight back, it's not scary.
Yeah, like Amnesia scares the bejesus out of me even to this day because you have nothing. All you can do is turn a little light and hide in a cupboard.
Yeah. I think that game actually does scary, but you need to do it right because it's goofy. It's a goofy game until it's not, and that's what makes it scarier. Is that you think it's still funny, but like it's terrifying.
Yeah. You can move barrels to block the door, but then you're stuck in a room. You have to actually like leave the room at some point. You're just like, oh no, wait.
Yeah. What's the other one? Outlast. I think Outlast is another one where you kind of fight back against people, but it's really just it's a first person thing, like mental hospital, spooky, whatever type thing. But it's not ghosts or whatever. It's just like crazy people, which isn't that scary, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole thing, just not fighting back is the scary part.
Yeah, I shot a werewolf in the face with a flintlock pistol, and I was like, meh. This isn't really scary. I will say that the one scary part of the game so far is that as you're walking through the woods, there's this one mob, like just not like the big monster that you're trying to hunt down, just like it's just like chills. It's called the Whisperer, and as you get close to it, the whispering gets louder and louder, and then it chases you, but it's faster than you no matter how fast you're running. And I hate them because they don't really deal damage. They just take away your ability to see or do anything for a little bit, and I hate it. That's the one that actually sucks and scares me. So when I hear whispering, I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
But everything else is like, it's not really scary.
Yeah.
I don't think a scary game can give you a gun.
I'm trying to think if I agree with that, because I think if it's hard enough to kill something with that gun, then it can be scary, but it's not as scary as if you just had to escape. Like Resident Evil 4, for example, is a shooter. It's not scary, but there are parts where like the chainsaw guy comes and you realize that you're kind of screwed because it's hard to kill that guy. And I guess in that case, the fear is kind of just the fear of dying, but not the actual fear of the game. But it's still kind of scary because the atmosphere is scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess, but the game itself isn't actually. If it makes me uncomfortable, it's scary. If it makes me stressed out, it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I understand what you mean, but I don't know. Video games very rarely are scary to me. One game that I do want to try is Alien Isolation because I heard that's a really good scary game.
I think I have that game. I tried it for a little bit and I was like, this is really good. I'll come back to it. I never did. Of course. But yeah, that game is cool.
The game is like crazy high touted for its great AI too. Like playing that game is like really good, well made game. Never.
Yeah, there's like one major enemy for 20 hours of gameplay. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that one gives you a flamethrower, but the flamethrower doesn't kill the thing. It just dissuades it.
Yeah.
I guess that's one way to do it. But like, if you're gonna give me a musket and tell me to go kill this thing, I'm not gonna be scared of it because my job is to kill it. Like,
yeah, it's just a shooter. It's a shooter with spooky looking things like Resident Evil 4. You know.
Yeah, and like spooky ambiance, but it's not really like I wouldn't say it's scary.
Yeah. Did you want to keep going? I don't know how you want to. We're still trying to figure out this list thing.
Yeah, that is a good point. So, okay, so I'll just finish up my topics.
Sure.
So, do you remember last week where I was like, I don't know how our dogs are gonna meet because my dog isn't like super friendly with other dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I decided to put that to the test because why not? I took her to the dog park, and she met another dog who was much smaller than her, and she didn't try to eat it. Which leads me to believe that my dog is rehabilitated. She didn't try to fight this other dog.
She's again a member of society.
She is a member of society. She seemed pretty chill about the other dog. She got a little wary of it because she doesn't play with the dogs. I think it's because I've been doing more research on her breed, and basically, like, she's an old breed. So, like, she doesn't necessarily, like, do things that more modern breeds do. So, like, dogs do something called a play bow, where they will do, like, basically, like, a downward dog, right? So, like, they'll press their front of their body flat with their butt up in the air and their tail up, which is basically, it's called a play bow, which is just supposed to tell the other dog, like, I'm going to play with you. And then they, like, play. So, like, they jump at each other and, like, do little bitey bites. My dog doesn't accept that as like an invitation to play bite. When the other dog did that, my dog was just like, I'll kill you myself. So I don't think that she fully grasps like play bow into roughhousing equals good time. Her interpretation is like, this dog stretched, then came after me, so I told it to go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things of like, how do animals know anything? Like, how does an animal know that that's like the thing? You know, human beings don't know anything besides like smiling or whatever. You know, but things like, hey, I'm gonna kind of like do this thing, and then you're gonna do this thing, and then we're gonna smack each other, but it's all fun. Like, we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, like a lot of body language, people just know. Like, right? Like it's like ubiquitous. Like even blind people smile when they're happy.
That's what I mean, like smiling, yeah. But
I think that's like should be the equivalent for dogs.
But in terms of like a ritual like that, kind of like on a every person who is of my species does this and knows this, like that's crazy. We don't have anything like that.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It is pretty wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I know the other thing too is like the like wolves, they lose their ability to bark at a certain age, right? Whereas dogs retain that ability to bark. My dog doesn't really bark. She really only whines. So I feel like that's just like one of those things where like her breed maybe isn't a barker, like in that sense. Like they don't do a lot of that. Like she doesn't really do stuff that other dogs do when they're like happy or excited. Like she doesn't vocalize very often. She doesn't like when she gets excited, she doesn't like jump on me. She just like she just like wags her tail and like her whole butt, and she's like, yes, let's do stuff. I don't know. Yeah. I think that might just be her personality possibly. But what she did like to do is get on the picnic benches that were at the dog park, because she could be like up at my face level and look me directly in the face, which I think she enjoys.
Yeah.
But leads me to my last point, which is, how would you feel about us both going to a dog park?
I mean,
and seeing how dogs do together.
So Pepper, when she sees another dog, she immediately sees it as like, I think, a threat to us. She'll be like, hey, there's a dog over there and I'm worried for you. So like, I'm now just worried. Like, look, like bring your attention to the dog. Like, hey. And we're just like, chill out. That's just a guy walking his dog. So I don't know if she's afraid of the dog or if she's afraid of us being around the dog, but she doesn't try to like
do anything about it.
Yeah, she's just nervous. So I guess I don't really know how she'll react kind of up close with the thing, because she's been around other dogs. She used to live with other dogs, but it was kind of a different thing. I don't know. I don't know how she would react, but she's kind of more Synovia's dog than mine because she was Synovia's dog before. So, I mean, if she wants to take her to a dog park, that's totally cool.
Ask Synovia. I would like our dogs to get along, not as well as we do, but approximately as well as dogs can.
Start their own dog cast because they're such good friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, man? What's going on?
Lots going on, but kind of also not much is going on. I'm kind of spreading my time between a lot of different things. So kind of like I said last week, I have 3 projects kind of ongoing. I have this workboard project that I'm working on, which I haven't actually touched since I started it. I have a clicker game that I'm working on with JC, and then I have another branch of versioning stuff, and then I have my PR open out that we were just talking about before. So I guess I have 4 things. So I'm kind of splitting my time between all these things. I think the workboard project, realistically, I just need to allocate like an entire weekend and have like a little solo hackathon thing, where I just kind of crank it out because it's a one and done type thing. Get an integration, build a UI, and that's really it. So that becomes less and less important because it's not really fun and the utility is not like immediately necessary. It's just something I think would be cool. So it kind of gets shuffled down and down on my priority list, but that's still definitely a thing. I spent some time yesterday working with JC actually on a clicker game because I think JC has like a really interesting way of looking at games. Like I think we talked about this before, definitely not on this podcast, but JC is like the type of person who will, having never played a game before, will read up everything about it beforehand, read the wikis, read like the systems and understand how everything should work, and then basically be an expert in the game before he ever starts to play it. And he just has a very kind of like not mechanical, he just understands the systems of the games in a way that I don't really see.
Methodical.
Yeah, that's a word.
Thank you.
So yeah, we spent like an hour and a half. I walked him through kind of how home games works and how the Squisher works and the events and all that kind of stuff work. And he seemed pretty hyped on it, which I thought was a cool feeling for me. But the clicker as it is today, I have, like I said, I have my 2 views. I have a city view, a clicker view, but now in the clicker view, I have enemies that will spawn. So I have 2 different enemy types, and they're randomly spawned, one or the other, just based on a random number. There's a purple triangle guy, and then there's a red hexagon guy. And I actually made these sprites for characters in a game like months ago for something else I was doing, but they kind of just fit into this. And they have health values, they have attack and attack rate, but they're not used at the moment. I don't know if they will be. And they also have a score value. So if I kill this, I get this many points. And then clicking one of them will do your attack per click, right? So 10, whatever the number is per click. So you can click a thing, it'll kill the thing, it'll give you points, and then it'll spawn a new thing. Technically, I have made a clicker. It is the worst clicker ever made. So that's kind of the goal that I was going for. And me and JC kind of did you can call it a pair programming thing. I just screen shared and wrote up some code, and we kind of just went through it and stuff, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, that was a cool feeling, I guess, of just working on something with someone and having them be like, oh, I get this is actually cool. And I think JC might want to, we talked about him like maybe doing sprites or helping me in some way with his clicker. So we'll see how that whole thing goes. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that thing. Like I said, it's really ugly. It's really whatever. But the fact that I can see the guts and I can see it all coming into something, it's actually really cool.
Nice.
So that was a cool feeling. And then I got versioning stuff kind of. So the act of adding multiple versions of a dependency to npm is actually really easy. You add like an alias and you say, squish.js 49 is equal to squish.js 0.4.9, whatever, right? So then in the actual import, you just reference by the alias and not the actual number. So you kind of have to explicitly define the version that you're using, which I think makes a lot of sense. The problem comes in. Well, no, not problem. The game can define its version of Squish.js, but the squisher also depends on Squish.js. So I need to add some logic in there to be able to know the version of Squish.js that a game is using for the squisher to use the same version of Squish in that version of Squish.js. And I know that these words all mean different like Squish is the squish function in the Squish.js package. Squish.js is the library that the squisher uses to squish. That's kind of the whatever. So Squisher needs to be able to dynamically load in different versions of Squish.js based on the game that it's loading as well. So that's kind of the thing I have to do there. And similarly, I would need to do the same thing on the client because the client is also running Squish.js, and it might have a different version depending on the game. So I might need to like reference a different unsquish. The same way that the squish squishes, the client unsquishes. So the client might need to have a different unsquish depending on the version. So I need to add that kind of stuff in order for that all to actually be functional the way that we want it to be. But the whole different versions of Squish.js in home games is doable, and I have kind of a base of that. I just don't have like I said, the way for the client or the squisher to know what version of Squish a game is using.
Oh, okay, cool. It's like, would that just be metadata then for the game? Like, hey, this game uses either squish and up or like squish X and up or explicitly this version of squish. Blah.
I think in a perfect world, I would be able to programmatically find the version of Squish that a thing is importing, because I don't want someone to have to import Squish.js 4.9 and then in metadata say that they're using 4.9, because what if they're not? You know, what if they forget to update it twice? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when we merge, like, so like if somebody opened up a PR for their game into home games, right? And we added their game to there, wouldn't we have to know what version of Squish we need to, like, what versions of Squish we need to like install?
Well, I don't think people would be updating the package.json to include more versions of Squish. We would probably be the kind of gatekeepers there. So they would really only be able to pull Squish.js from whatever is already in package.json using the aliases that we've kind of defined there.
Oh, I see. So we would look at what version of Squish they're importing into their game.
Well,
I understand.
Yeah. Because the game needs to say I'm using Squish version 5 or 6 or whatever. And so I just want to avoid it just from a kind of cleanliness standpoint. I don't want someone to have to say it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm using Squish.js 5.0, and that's declared in my import, but I also need to tell you that I'm using 5.0 so you know which one to use. I don't love that, but I mean, it's not awful. We can do it if we have to. I just don't like it. But
I actually didn't realize what you were saying. So they do have to explicitly state which version of Squish they want to use. It's just in their game as opposed to in metadata. So we could just loop through all the games, and if whatever, right, we'd just assume that if they're using regular Squish, it's whatever the regular version of Squish is, and then if there's like a version number associated with it, we'd do that.
I actually think I don't want someone to be able to just import vanilla Squish because not that we'll ever introduce breaking changes, but I just don't think it's kind of like the idea of when you release something to production, you should kind of keep it pinned to a certain version so you have consistency and you know what version you're running, and instead of just like, oh, it pulled the latest and that somehow broke everything, and oh, I checked the log or I checked the release notes or whatever, and there's some breaking change and they're rolling back, but I just so happened to deploy when it pulled the new, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. So I think someone should always have to explicitly define the version they're using, and maybe that adds consistency in a way or whatever, because otherwise we'd have to say, we'd have to kind of like update the Squish.js alias to always point to the newest one instead of just adding a new alias for each new version we release, and kind of like this, you can call it I don't know what you'd call it, but some selection of Squish dependencies that you could pull from, and you just pull one and whatever, and that whole thing. But I guess I don't know how realistic it is to be able to find out which one they're importing, because it sounds like parsing JS and reading their imports, and that sounds really nasty. I don't want to do that. Unless there's something in Node to get the import tree or whatever.
Maybe not in Node, in Webpack probably.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But that's kind of the basic versioning stuff. I think it's possible. It just might be some more work on my side.
Yeah. Because the thought of writing our own parser reminds me too much of compilers.
Well, we could do something super gross and just say, find the file name of the game that you're running, read the first some amount of lines, and get the word import, like follow a regex, right? Import blah 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 squish.js thing, get all the lines that match that, and then parse it. It's gross. That's what I mean. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, because the other thing too is that somebody, an insane person, could write their JavaScript where it's like import open curly brace squish close curly brace equals, right? Like they could import like that.
Well, then we just got to set up Lex and Yak, and then you got to get a...
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
God, I hated compilers.
Gosh.
Anyway.
It always comes up, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy we took that class, but Jesus. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Did you want to talk about DevOps tasks for kind of stuff, or?
I guess, like, my question would be, like, what would we even have for DevOps right now? I can't think of anything aside from getting CI to run because I'm boosted, but theoretically I should be able to figure it out.
I think at the moment you're right. There's nothing that really we could really do. I think the amount of people who are willing to download and install this is a very, very, very small percentage of total people who might be interested in playing these games. So I think as this thing grows, or as this thing kind of, whatever we're calling it, moving forward, we will have more infrastructure and more services to maintain something like, I don't know, metadata server thing, or hosted home games instances, I guess is the thing I'm getting to. If we ever have some sort of a premium service or some sort of a thing like that where we have servers that kind of facilitate someone not running this themselves, we will have a lot more DevOps tasks, but I just don't know what they look like at the moment. But I think maybe in the next, let's say 6 months, I'll have an idea of what that really looks like of a hosted home games instance, because Pico de Gallo is that. So I guess today we could say that if we gave Alex access to my EC2 instance running Pico de Gallo, he could have, maybe we could have some sort of tasks where it's logging, centralized logging, error reporting, and metrics and alarms and stuff like that for just Pico de Gallo. So I can know, oh, Pico de Gallo went down. I can't know that today. I don't have anything in place for that. I have no logs. Logs would actually be really amazing as a first task to say, here's every error that came up in the client, here's every error that came up in the game server over the past month across all home games instances. That'd be great. I have no idea how we're going to do it though, but yeah, I think there's stuff. I just think that I'm fuzzy on what I think those are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
Logging though. Logging is important. We should have access to logs.
Yeah, we should have logs.
Yeah. Even if, and like, I don't want someone, like if I'm running home games myself, maybe I can do a thing and I say, yeah, sure, send my logs off to the central, whatever, kind of like how Windows, right? It's like, you want to send this to Microsoft? You could have something like that, but I want it to be an opt-in. I don't want someone to just constantly be, just be piping their logs to us because, privacy or whatever, but.
Also, like, I feel like that isn't super useful.
Yeah, but I mean, if someone is like, hey, in draw, it constantly crashes when I do this thing. It's like, it works for me. It's kind of where it ends, the investigation. You know what I mean? I can't really know unless I have logs.
I guess at that point you'd have to say, like, can you... No, I'm sorry. I didn't... I meant, like, us just constantly having their logs sent to us, right? Because neither one of us is ever going to sit down probably and go through all of the logs and be like, oh, well, this and this and this are errors that I can fix, right? Like, unless it was, like, a huge ton of errors. I think it would rather just have people open up a GitHub issue and be like, here's my logs. This is the issue I'm running into. Can you guys look into it?
Yeah, but I guess that's not like super sustainable if we ever, like, let's say we got 1 million people playing this stuff, right? I mean, obviously not anywhere close to that, but you can't expect 1 million people to be willing to file a GitHub issue. Maybe they don't even have a GitHub account, Like, we can't expect that much from people who's like, oh, this broke, this sucks. I'm done. Like, we need to kind of be maybe more proactive about fixing things for that type of person, because we can't just cater to nerds, you know?
You're right. You are correct. I forget sometimes that the goal is even somebody who doesn't really understand computers can run home games.
Yeah, I mean, someone who doesn't understand should be able to play this stuff without having to care at all about how it works. But someone who wants to know how it works should be easy for them to learn it and then get into stuff to tweak it. But it shouldn't be just for them.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. My notes went away, so let me fix that. Yeah, that's all my home game stuff. So I guess to kind of transition to a different thing, let's talk about video games. Oh. I've been playing Madden. That's football. I'm not a sports fan. I'm
surprised.
I love Madden. That game is so fun. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is about sports games. Like, I've played NBA 2K. I'm not a big basketball fan. I've played MLB The Show. I'm a huge baseball fan, but I don't like MLB The Show. I really don't like football, the sport. American football, the sport. But I love playing Madden, and I don't know what it is, but I've just been playing it a lot. There's like this story mode that's kind of ridiculous. You like sign to some contract and you play college football, and then you play professional football, and there's all these dramatic cutscenes that are really useless. But I don't know. I like Madden.
There's a story to Madden.
Yeah, dude. It might be a recent thing. I don't remember it in the older games, but it's kind of like this, rise to stardom type career story thing of being like the star football player.
I see.
But yeah, I haven't played much Last of Us. I haven't played more Destroy All Humans. I've still been meaning to play Dragon Ball Z from like months ago. But something about just sitting down and playing football. It's like really, really my thing. So that's been fun. And then speaking of other video games, I've been playing Gears of War. And lately I've been kind of feeling pressure to engage with their microtransactions. And I don't like it. But their thing of doing rewards is really like genius in a fucked up way. But basically there's these daily challenges in the game, right? To play multiplayer or play horde or play whatever and get this many kills with this weapon, get this type of whatever with this thing. Challenges, and they'll give you stars. And so you get a star that goes towards a reward. And this reward is kind of a sequence of rewards for like the season or whatever. This is season 4, I think it is, or they call them operations, Operation 4. So there's this progression thing of like, oh, the first prize is maybe the skin for your weapon, a common skin for your weapon, because there's the whole common, rare, legendary type thing in there.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, right. And so maybe sometimes it's coins, so you can spend coins in the store. And there's iron, which is their like premium currency that you have to buy. And I don't really care about that one. But the last reward in this operation is this crazy looking suit for one of the character skins. Like, it's just, you look like a astronaut. And I just love that stuff so much because Gears of War, you actually can really see a lot of the detail on people, and you can see the skins on the weapons. I think a lot of the cosmetics in games are hidden from other people for the most part, so they kind of don't have value to me. But in Gears of War, you really, because it's 5-on-5 and it's kind of up close, you can see everything. So it's a big flex when you see the guy with the astronaut suit and the full-on America sniper rifle and the American flag banner. That's what my dude has. So it's like big flex, right? And anyway, I want this astronaut suit. I don't have that yet. But it's like the very last one, and it requires so many stars. And the problem is, on a daily basis, you don't have the ability to get that many stars. You really have to like maximize the way that you play to get all the things that you want, because every day when they reset at 5 p.m., if you didn't get that challenge before, it stays there the next day. So you kind of missed out on more stars because you didn't finish the challenges before the day. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
So it's this thing of like, I need to get this astronaut suit or else I will have felt like I lost a lot of whatever, but I can't move through these challenges fast enough. But of course, once you finish the challenge, you can get a new one for iron, which is the premium currency. So if I spend $5-10, I can get more challenges faster to get more stars to finish this challenge in the operation before the operation moves over to 5.
Ooh, okay.
Am I crazy?
For a cosmetic skin in a game, I think it's not bad, right?
Okay.
But
But
will it change? This is kind of my problem with buying stuff for games. Does it change your personal enjoyment whether or not you have this skin or not?
I mean, it's hard to answer that question because, of course, I would say yes. But I guess I'll give you an example. You know Cole, right, from the first Gears of War game?
Yeah, the Cole train, baby.
Yes. Yes. He's in this game as a character. I've never played the Gears 5 single player, and that's like something it's on my list, but it's not high on my list of something to do. So I don't know if he's in the story, but the character is in the multiplayer, and I like that character, so I use that character, and I have a legendary emote of him, right? So he like does I don't know what you call it, but the feet like running in place with this, right? And it's like a rare thing. And at the beginning of the match, there's 10 seconds where it just kind of shows your entire team, and people like to do their emotes to flex whatever rare ones they got. And so I really don't see many Coles with this expression. So it makes me feel better when I do that one, because everybody else just does the one where they kiss their muscles, or the one where they point, or they do this or whatever. But mine is hilarious. Mine's cool. So if I had the astronaut suit,
and you were doing it.
Well, so that expression is just for Cole, which makes it more rare, right? Mm-hmm. So some of them you can share for all characters, but for that one specifically, it's just for Cole. So for the UIR soldier cosmonaut outfit, that would be like the thing, especially because, like I said, you can see the detail in every character. When someone is killing you over and over again and they have a distinct look, you get mad at them. Like, you remember them and they stick out in your head. And I love being that dude. I love being the bully in the Gears matches. Like, I forgot to tell you a couple weeks ago, I had a run where I was just doing incredibly well in arcade with my sniper rifle. I was just getting headshots in a way that like made me uncomfortable because I felt bad. Like, I was doing really well.
You were doing so well, you felt bad. It's like integer overflow. Holy cow. All right.
Yes. And I got 2 messages on the same day, and that's how I know I was doing really well. One of them was, "You are a sniper god." And dude, this, like, imagine someone typing that, like taking the time to type that out to me, right? Like, holy shit. The second message was "reported."
Yeah, buddy. It's like to see and hear and feel.
So I don't know. I guess
salt from that guy.
Yeah, I'll report back, but I don't know when the operation ends. I think I might have time, but I'm just doing math at that point. Okay, well, if I play this game 2 hours a day to do my challenges every day, I'll get this many stars, and then I'll be able to finish before the thing. But like, I want the cosmetic, I guess, is my summary there.
Can you not just pay for the cosmetic?
Some of them you can, some of them you can't. Some of them you have to unlock. Yeah, I don't think you can.
Dang.
They also changed them. So like, there was one, it was like workout Foz or something, where it's Foz is the character, and then the outfit was just this like tank top that's like dedication, hard work, motivation, and it's his workout outfit. And so it was only an unlockable before, but now it's like a $10 cosmetic. But at the time, it was not purchasable. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how the whole thing works. I guess I just never saw myself caring about any of this until I started caring about this. Now I'm way into it.
I'd say go for it. I think go for it, man. It sounds like you would. Yeah, I think you double your messages, your message count from 2 to 4. I think 4 people would be like, you no life son of a gun.
And that's the funny thing too, is because I very much have a life. So
yeah. That's why I think it'd be even funnier for you to do this.
Yeah. But when I was good at games as a kid, I didn't have a life, so those insults hurt because I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have like anything to do. But now it's like, I actually am doing okay, and I'm good as fuck at this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the ultimate. Like, by the way, like, I'm secretly flexing on this person. They don't even know. They're calling me a no life, but I'm just living the best life possible.
Yeah. I got another Spanish interaction too. Just to wrap up my Gears of War talk, I had another Spanish interaction. I just hate when people talk shit about their team. You know,
Yeah.
If you lose, you lost, and it's okay that you lost. And even if your team is the reason, don't be a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So someone just commented, "Equipa basura," which means trash team, at the end of his loss, and so I just said "Y tú también," which means and you too. Like, and then he just didn't say anything after that. But I'm just like, oh, I love this. I love learning Spanish through aggression. You know what I mean? It's my favorite.
This is what the high school classes needed for you. Is just more BM, more banter, more smack talk.
It's kind of like my whole thing with math, right? It's like, I don't care about the thing until you show me why I'm learning it. But if you're like, yeah, you know, Spanish is going to be helpful, maybe you'll be a translator someday, was kind of like what my middle school teacher told me. But if they were like, nah, people are going to be dicks to you in Spanish, and you got to be a dick back. It's like, oh, okay, I'm ready. I got to be ready.
That's the secret reason more people should learn a second language in America, I think.
Just imagine
the amount. Imagine how much more smack talk you could deliver if, like, you spoke, I don't know, Mongolian. No one would know what you're saying to them.
Damn.
You just, say something in Mongolian and walk away. What are they going to know? Right? But, like, imagine if, like, every person in America just randomly was assigned a second language that they know, or a third language if they already know too.
It'd make everything a lot more interesting. It would also add more, I don't know. Do you think it hurts more if you find out after the fact what they said? Like, if you have to Google translate something and then Google tells you that you're a piece of shit, because like that's what they said.
because most foreign, like, when you directly translate like swear words like that, it never translates 100%. It's like your mother drinks goat milk on a Tuesday, and you're just like, I don't really like. Just like saying that to somebody, right? Like, they won't realize that that's an insult because, goat milk on a Tuesday is always spoiled. Like, how would you know that in that culture, right? So, but like, you know what I mean? So like,
I get it.
I think there's like levels to it, right? Because you're basically insulting somebody in a way that they may, unless they like understand the language, there's a chance that like they'll never understand what that actually means.
Maybe that'll decrease violence in America, because people are kind of insulting each other in ways they don't really get. Yeah. So you kind of have more time to cool off, and maybe this is good for the world.
Trying to pick, I'd love that. Just everyone in the whole world was assigned one additional language that they understand and can speak at random, not by choice, and then they just are given this information to do with as they please.
I like it. That seems
How
like
long do you think it would take you to learn, like, figure out that you actually know French?
To learn French?
No, like, you just like woke up one day and you knew French. Like, how long do you think it would take you to like make that realization?
Isn't that an episode of Dexter's Lab where he realized he can only say omelette du fromage?
Yeah, but that's because he only listened to the tape that says omelette du fromage for a whole night.
I don't know. I mean, I'd probably realize that pretty quick when I realize none of the words I'm saying actually come out.
You speak French in addition to English and parts of Spanish.
Oh.
Right? Like, you just have an additional language that you just know instinctively. But how long do you think it would take you to realize that?
It's an interesting question. I have no idea. It's kind of hard too, because like the Spanish language, a lot of it exists in my head. I just don't know it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to tap into that part of my brain. But it's kind of like when you hear those things about people having some sort of brain trauma or maybe some other sort of like psychedelic experience or something where they start to speak other languages but they like never knew before. It's like, fucking human brain is crazy. Maybe you just know things that you don't know. You know what I mean?
That is probably true. I can't speak any Afrikaans, but I understand 100% of it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
The hell? Why?
My grandparents spoke Afrikaans a lot.
Interesting.
Mostly smack talk to each other and other people, but I know. Yeah. But like when my grandmother's family calls from South Africa or something like that, they speak Afrikaans on the phone a bit. So I just picked it up. So I understand Afrikaans really well.
Nice. That's funny. I kind of have that too. Like my first memorable Spanish phrase was Sierra. Jesus, I can't roll my R's now that I'm trying. Cierra la puerta, which is a command to close the door. That was my first ever thing because my nana would always tell my tata to do that. Cierra la puerta. Yeah. Anyway, that's actually really funny. But anyway, that's all for my stuff. I think. And I got an espresso machine. I got a new espresso machine, and I'm getting really good at making espresso. The whole thing is about volumes and measurements and your input variables and your output results and whatever. And I'm at this point where I can eyeball my end result of my thing should be 141 grams because my little shot glass is 105 grams. I put in 18 grams of espresso, which should give me 36 grams of water out, which should result in 141 grams in the total thing. And I'm able to consistently eyeball 138. So I'm very close. I'm precise but not accurate. So
ooh, okay.
It's fun though. It's like an ongoing thing. Making espresso is definitely like an art to it. And I also got it's called a bottomless portafilter. I don't know if you've ever seen any videos of espresso being made, but when you see kind of the meshy underneath thing of the espresso, it's called a portafilter, and you see it all kind of come through in slow-mo and stuff and all that stuff. It's because it's really used as like a diagnostic thing to see exactly what is happening underneath the portafilter to know if you did everything correct with your coffee, and if it's kind of uneven or whatever, you'll be able to see it because the way that most portafilters are is just you have a spout, so you have the coffee coming through and kind of doing whatever it's doing, and then it's invisible to you because it comes out of two spouts, so you don't know if it's actually consistent or good or not. So if you have a version of it that doesn't have those spouts, you can see everything. But espresso is so pretty. Like I did a slow-mo video of underneath one of the bottomless ones, and it's like, I don't know, it's like one of my favorite things to just watch the espresso come out of a bottomless portafilter.
On some level, I feel like you're addicted to espresso and the art form therein.
I've just been making a lot this past week because it was my first week with my new machine, and it was like this machine is like a really big upgrade from my previous one because I've been using my other one for like 3 years or so, and just I need to know the way to use this thing and how good I am and what I need to tweak to do it. So I've been making maybe like 4 shots a day, so that's pretty good. But so each one is a double shot. So like 2 double shots a day.
So you make okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you make 8 individual shots of espresso basically a day, but you only make 2 double shots, so 4 total. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
like
not
this man's
that
wired AF. His poops must be great.
Yeah, it's still not ideal, but it's probably too much coffee. But it'll go down over time, But I don't know. I've just been really obsessed with that espresso machine this past week.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you have a new hobby to enjoy, though.
Yeah, add it to my list of things to take up time.
Are you gonna do the get into what is it, like a mocha thingy where you or a cappuccino, whatever? It's one where they pour the steamed milk into the glass to make a flour or whatever.
Yeah. So I tried latte art, and
there we go.
You know what? We should have episodes. So okay, I'm just gonna show this. I don't know if you can see that. That's my little espresso from this morning.
I see.
It's the glare or whatever is not great. But then that's my first ever latte art. Oh, you really cannot see
that
it
I definitely can't see.
Anyway, we have the ability to make individual episodes have images instead of just our default Home Games logo. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make that espresso art latte whatever thing the picture for this one so people
can, buddy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no. And then a latte and a cappuccino are basically the same thing. It's just that cappuccino has more foam. You put the foam in it too. But
okay.
Yeah. And then I made a mocha, which is a latte with chocolate in it, and that was incredible. But anyway, I'm very much experimenting with different types of coffee stuff. So
before we move on to Song of the Week, I actually remembered I wanted to say one last thing. So last week I said that League of Legends World Championship was going to happen this year, and the League of Legends European scene, the LEC, if you will, just finished their last week, and so we know all the teams that are qualified, and the winners, top 4 teams from the qualifications gets to go to Worlds, basically. and one of the teams was considered the worst team to play in like the professional European scene. They lost 8 of their first 8 games. So they lost every game straight for 4 weeks.
So it's like no different if I played it.
Yeah. But they went on an insane win streak, and they at one point had a 4%. Like basically like if every matchup was straight up 50-50, in 4% of all scenarios, they could qualify to maybe go to Worlds. And they did it. They won like every match. They beat the number 1 team today. Like everything fell just right for them in like super convincing fashion. They got to go. So Schalke 04 they're run by the same one that's in the Bundesliga. But yeah, crazy stuff. It was super cool. It's why I love sports so much. Like the underdog stories, like the miracle runs, like I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm gonna. So Sinovia and I were just talking about this, I think 2 nights ago, but I am of the opinion that like esports aren't sports, and that's okay. I just don't think of it in the same way, but I do like that kind of stuff, the kind of individual people stories, and like you said, the underdog stories, or that kind of stuff, the kind of meta of whatever they do. I don't really care so much about what they're doing, but the whole team and competition and people stories I think is actually really cool. So that sounds awesome.
Yeah, like the story, I love the stories and like the storylines that develop when you're watching a sports league, or like, right? Because like there's team rivalries that date back to like years before you were born, or in like the League of Legends scene, because I've watched it every year, like just seeing some of this crazy stuff and like players that I've loved for so long, I really like looked up to as players for so long and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, I like sports. I don't know if I would consider esports a sport necessarily, but I don't really care if that makes sense. Like I just enjoy watching people be good at stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and like the stories that get told. One day I'll tell the story, because you wouldn't know this story. I'll tell you the wildest story you've ever heard from the league scene. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But that'll be like a long episode, because it's like a 20-minute story.
Okay. No, but I had just quickly, I guess, I had a whole thing about why don't I respect esports in the same way I respect football or basketball or these kinds of things, right? And it's not that I don't respect esports. It's that I don't respect them in the same way. I don't see it the same way. And I think a big thing is that in a physical sport like soccer, football, whatever, there are rules that don't really change. Sometimes they do and whatever, but for the most part, they're consistent. And your limitations and your skill is basically your ability to get your body to its maximum potential. And that isn't really controlled by another human being. Like how fast I can run is limited on some level by like my body and genetics and stuff. But really it's about how good I can get it running. And I can hit my upper limit. And I guess you could say you're limited by evolution or God or whatever it is, but it's not your control, and it's not anyone else's control. So esports, that's a game made by another person, and they can tweak that as much as they want, and you're kind of operating within these bounds that are actually set by another person, and it's all kind of knowable computer stuff, and at a certain point your upper limit is defined by another human being. You know what I mean? Your click rate can be throttled by another human being. Your strategy for sure can be really great, but at the end of the day, the system that your strategy kind of operates in is designed by another human being, and so that limit, it makes it different for me. You know what I mean?
I think I understand what you mean. I don't know. Like, I think that part of it is, like you said, limited by other people. I think the other side of it, though, is that like most big like esports titles, they have so many developers on them. There's like bugs and glitches and like weird interactions and stuff like that. And so part of being a professional player is just finding those out and finding ways to like use them properly. It's like finding like the gaps that people didn't really like think of properly sometimes plays a big part in it.
Yeah, but there's no equivalent in basketball. There's no bugs in basketball because you're in like real physical space that like exists from not us.
I mean, there is. Okay, So I guess the answer, what you just said, would depend on what you consider a bug, right? So there are flaws in the human body, right? And using your human body to overcome your opponent's human body by possibly exploiting a bug in their body is a real thing, right?
Okay.
For example, somebody has a knee injury on their right side, so you juke right, so that they have to stutter step with their left foot, right? That could be like a big thing. Knowing that kind of stuff is important, even in real sports. And like the human body, it has like some real limitations to it, right? Like there's a maximum lift force, like the maximum there's like an upper bound of humans that there's an upper bound for humans on how fast they can move. There's an upper bound for humans on how much they can lift.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And I guess that's true about like esports as well. It's just we're like pretty sure what those upper limits are mechanically for a person using like scientific theory, but we're like 100% sure what those upper limits are for an esport title.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know if there's like really like a big difference there to me.
But I can't fix bugs with the human body. Evolution can, but that'll take a while. You know what I mean? So
I mean, if ever, right? Yeah. There's the theory that we're somewhat post-evolution.
Sure, I don't know. I don't know anything about science at all. But I guess I should say, like, if someone finds an exploit and wins the match because of an exploit, I mean, you could argue about the kind of like morality about victory, you know, in that case, because you're kind of cheating. Maybe not cheating, but you could make an argument or whatever. But at the end of the day, someone can fix that bug. Fixed bug that made Yazeed win because we realized this was a bug. You don't have that in physical sports. Maximum strength is kind of a thing that we don't control and we can't control, and no one can take out from underneath me. It's kind of set.
But that is true. There's less change and less volatility in that regard, especially like around sports rules.
Yeah. Kind
of. What we saw when a lot of sports saw with the advent of smaller cameras and more high definition cameras and cameras that could record like slow-mo basically, is that there needed to be new rules for refs to view the camera footage. Whereas before, like in soccer especially, or tennis is one that I will tell you 100% sure somewhat changed the game. They added whole new rules around it for a new technology. Right? So what is basically like they have like a way of tracking where a tennis ball lands in the court via the camera, whereas traditionally it would be done by the referees. So there's times where a player can challenge the referee's call to review the footage, and whatever that footage says is the correct footage. So like that stuff is that changed sports like fundamentally. But I do see what you mean about stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know. I think that as long as there is competition and somebody is putting in basically as much effort as humanly possible, then it can be considered competitive. I don't really know. It's like genres to me a little bit. Like I don't know what goes into what is a sport and what isn't a sport, right? Because chess is a sport. Sure.
I agree with that. And again, I don't not respect esports. I just think in my mind there is a distinction between like the competition of becoming a professional football player and becoming a professional Counter-Strike player. There's a big difference there, even though they're both sports. And I'm trying to articulate or at least define what that is in my head, because I've really struggled with it for a long time, but I think it's it's like a man-made thing or a other thing that we don't control. But I guess that's kind of my thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think as long as you're enjoying it, that's enough. But you don't really like watching sports either.
No, I really don't. I don't like watching sports at all. But I do like sports. Like I like playing baseball. But when I play Counter-Strike, I don't see it as a sport, even though I guess by the definition of a competition where I'm trying, it's a sport. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I don't see it like that. But I can also play baseball, the sport, casually. So then is Counter-Strike and all competitive games therefore defined as a sport? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. But
I'm not really sure. I think I fall on I don't consider them a sport either. I think that kind of like my thing about it is just You know what? I don't actually know why I don't consider it a sport either. I think like I always think of like esports and sports as somewhat separated. I don't really like consider the two both there. I think that esports is actually more similar to the UFC than anything else. Like in terms of like all the stuff, like how the two like rose in popularity and stuff. There's like a lot of parallels between the two of them. I would say that if I was gonna consider, and I don't know if I consider UFC a sport either. I think I'd just consider them both competitions.
I mean, yeah, the idea of fighting another person as a sport is kind of wild to me, but I think it just became so common because it was introduced to people as a sport that it was just like, yeah, sure, it's a sport. The way that boxing is a sport, but that's still two dudes fighting, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a art and science to all that stuff, too, and I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm just saying I think this is the distinction in my head.
And the thing is, I have the same distinction in my head, and I actually watch both of them. Yeah. So, like, I don't know why I have the distinction. I watch a lot of sports and a lot of esports, so I'm not sure, like, why I have this distinction between the two. Maybe, okay, here's maybe my take. In a sport, in a traditional sport, you have to be face-to-face with your opponent. Whereas with an esport, you're not. I don't know of a sport where you're not face-to-face with your opponent.
Okay, so like earlier you said chess is a sport.
Chess is a sport.
If I play remote chess, I'm not face-to-face with them, but I'm playing the same game.
Traditional competitive chess is played in the same room,
but
opposite each other.
But being in the same room and physically controlling the pieces is not at all critical to the sport that I'm playing. It is just kind of a technicality of my interaction.
You're right in that, but to me, chess at the competitive level is played in person.
But that's kind of a traditional.
I think that for chess to be a sport, it is critical for it to be played in one location. Again, like facing off with your opponent. Okay. I think that's kind of my thing. I think for it to be a sport, you have to face your opponent directly.
But then. Okay, I know you have time limitation, and I don't want to go too deep down this because we can kind of keep going forever.
Oh yeah, actually.
So let's move on to song of the week.
All right, song of the week. Before we actually start song of the week, I had an idea, and I want to run it by you and see what you thought.
Yeah.
What if for next week we had a variation of song of the week where it wasn't just the most popular song or like the most enjoyed song of the week for each of us, and so there's like a theme to it. Like for example, next week, we shouldn't do this for example, but like our most sassy song in our playlist.
Okay.
Like just to dig through your current playlist or a new song that you're gonna add to a playlist or something like that, and just find a song that matches up with some shared criteria.
My initial hesitation is that isn't quite song of the week. It's song challenge of the week. Mm-hmm. And I'm not opposed to that. It's just kind of a little thing. But we could do that. We could do themes. That totally works.
Well, I would say maybe we can try it and we can see how we like it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm realizing about song of the week is that sometimes I don't listen to new songs. And I'm just listening to like songs that I have listened to, and then it's kind of hard to be like, I think I listened to this song the most this week, or like I enjoyed this song the most this week.
I've had that too. I think I often struggle with like, well, I listened to this the most this week, therefore it was my song of the week. And sometimes, like I think this week I had kind of a weird obligation of new music should get a heavier weight in my song of the week. But ultimately, it's this very free thing of maybe I heard a song that absolutely slapped on the way to record the podcast, and I just heard it for the first time on the way. That's my song of the week. You know, like that doesn't need to have that kind of. But I totally get what you're saying. So I'm down for the idea. But I get what you mean. The like.
Do you want to pick the criteria for next week then?
Love song. Let's just start easy. Love song.
Ooh, a love song. Okay, all right. Love song of the week next week.
So speaking of love song, was that all for the?
Yeah, that's what I had as my idea maybe.
Okay. So for love song, your song of the week last week was "Love Is in the Air" by Stella Donnelly.
Yes.
That was such a pretty song. It was so cool. It also, I realized, like I have to listen to a song in different contexts, like in different kind of situations on different speakers and stuff to really get the whole thing. Because like if I'm sitting here at my desk and I have my headphones on, and I'm like trying to really absorb a song, it hits different from something on the speaker in the living room versus something playing in the car versus whatever. But this song I played just on a speaker while I made the beverage that I just finished, and it was just so pleasant. It's just like a perfect Sunday afternoon, like wow, love song, and it kind of has a little. It's got some, I don't know what you call it, oomph, energy. There's like a beat. There's like a rhythm. There's something to it that keeps it going and kind of bopping. But it's a nice, pretty love song, and the lady has such a nice voice. So I really enjoyed this song. It's certainly not my kind of music, but I really liked it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah, I really like this song too. When I first heard it, I was like, "Damn."
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah. Alex's song of the week last week was "Instant Crush" by Daft Punk. I'd heard this song before, so when it came on, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I do like this song. It's just one of the ones, Random Access Memories. I don't know if you're a Daft Punk fan or whatever. But of course, I liked some songs. Get Lucky is probably the one that people remember from that album. There's also the one, Giorgio, where it's like 3 minutes of talking in the beginning and then the beat hits. It's like, anyway, super cool kind of stuff. And there's some songs I really liked from it. Instant Crush is one of the ones where when I first heard the album, what was it, like 7 years ago at this point, it didn't really hit me in the way that I wanted it to, and it just never really stuck with me. And so when I see the album now, I kind of just skip past it. But Alex kind of made me revisit it, and I actually liked it a whole lot more this time around. So maybe 7 years of time is what I needed to enjoy it. But I thought that was kind of
I actually had a really similar vibe with it. Yeah, when I listened to it, I was like, is this on this album since the beginning?
Yeah, right. It's a whole. It feels different when you get like I don't know what it is, if it's older, you being older or what. But
I wonder if it's like one of those things where it didn't have the right beat or vibe for the time, but 7 years later, the rest of the music industry kind of like caught up to it almost, and now it has like it fits in with the beat and the vibe of modern music. Yeah,
and I guess that's what makes it more impressive, that music can still sound fresh after all these years and stuff. And that's kind of the beauty of it, you know. There's some stuff that you can hear from that it's decades old and it still sounds new. So that's cool. So my song of the week. Do you recall our conversation about 645 AR?
Yes.
And how this person makes music where the vocal pitch is so uncomfortably high that it really doesn't sound like anything I can ever appreciate. And I think I might have said at the time, but maybe this is the dividing line between me and another generation where I really don't get this, and I don't think I ever will. And maybe it's memes. It's hard to tell when people are joking and versus when they're not, because when they hype up a song based on a meme and you don't know if it's because it's good or not, you know, that whole thing. So my song of the week is not by 645 AR. But I just wanted to kind of preface with the conversation about the weird vocal pitch and it being too high and it being something I will never understand. There is a song that came on my Discover playlist on Spotify. There's a rapper I like named Trippie Redd, and I guess he has another artist signed to him, I think, named Sunny 2.0. And they have a song together called Hello Kitty. And I read up on this song, and I guess it used to belong to another guy named Playboy Carti, who's really big, and I think we've showed you a couple of his songs before. And Playboy Carti is known for doing weird voice stuff too, and he had a song called Neon that was, I guess, leaked and then repurposed and whatever, and then Trippie Redd took the beat and took the kind of song and made it his own. So anyway, there's a part on here where Sunny 2.0 does this thing with his voice where it goes almost 645 AR level pitch, and it's way too high, and it's like mouse squeaking rap. But goddamn, this song is so good. It is so fun to listen to. The beat is so bouncy, and Trippie Redd sounds uncomfortably like Playboi Carti in a way that makes me feel like he's just straight up ripping off someone's style. But I kind of put that past it because the song is so good to listen to. But I think maybe I'm not too old to enjoy this squeaky pitch. Maybe I just didn't like it on 645 AR at first because it was so wild, and then this is a more entry level version for me. I'm curious to see what you think, because it really is a weird song. Like, I played it for Synovia, and her face when the part started, that you'll definitely know what I'm talking about when it happens, she like looked mad at me for even having it on in our home. So anyway, Hello Kitty by Trippie Redd and Sunny 2.0 is my song of the week.
All right, I'll give it a listen. So I finally listened to Lilium Ezekiel Vertex's song Mood.
Yeah.
Lil Uzi Vert's song Mood.
Mm-hmm. Do not tell me you didn't like this song, Yazeed. Okay, go ahead and tell me you didn't like this song, Yazeed.
It's not that I didn't like this song. I don't get it, I guess. Like, I don't understand the song, maybe. I listened to it twice, and both times I left being like, the beat is sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the words that I understand, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something about this song I just don't understand. Maybe I need to listen to it more. I'll listen to it again next week, and I'll try again.
Because
so I'll put this back on my playlist for next week as well, and I'll.
Is it because it's not coherent as like a single message of the song, or?
Yeah, I think it might be just like a tone shift or something in this song. I think that's kind of like one of the problems that I've developed from listening to so much music that's the same, is that I kind of view like a constant. It's like a song to me should just be like almost a flat line, and if it's not, it's like it confuses me. I'm not used to it. And that's what threw me off. There was like that other song too that you sent me like a while ago, where I really liked the first half, and then the second half killed it for me.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been what happened with this song as well. But I need to break the habit, so I'll listen to like.
Was it a Maxo Cream song? I think that's what
it was. A Maxo Cream song.
Yeah.
And listen to more music like this, where it's not consistent throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because to me that's what makes songs really unique. I guess like that's what's interesting in music to me, is when I can take kind of a song that in the beginning of it sounds like and then at the end is kind of a and you don't know when it changed, but the mood just changed in such a subtle way that the song kind of took you somewhere. And like 90210 oh sorry, not 90210 Oh My This Side by Travis Scott. It is quite literally two songs. The first song is called Oh My, the second is called This Side. But there's a transition between the two that like makes me ascend to another realm when it comes on. And it seems like that kind of thing is what makes you not like it, which is just an interesting observation, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think that that's just like a symptom of listening to too much of the same music. I think.
Maybe.
Like I listen to a ton of the same indie pop. Or indie pop that sounds super similar, and almost all of it is just like continuous beat, continuous rhythm, sparse, like muted almost. I'd describe it like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I need to branch out more.
See, I think I know what you mean. Like, mood is not about anything. It's, ooh, why you want to mess up my mood? Like, that's the song. But the parts that stick out in my head are like the okay, I don't want it, and then the I don't need it, and then like the then repeat it, like the little vocal things that he does. That's the shit that just like makes it sticks in my head, and I just want to keep hearing it. There's another song he has called "Buy It," very much full of the same things. It's just little sticking points that just get stuck in your head.
Yeah. I think I might need to just listen to the song a little bit more. I don't think 2 is enough for me to like get it, if that makes sense. Especially as like the first song by Lil Uzi Vert I've heard in a really long time.
You've heard "The Way Life Goes" though, right? Because it did that "Oh Wonder" song.
Yes. Yeah. But that was like months and months ago now that you sent that to me. Yeah. Or told me about it.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I'm not trying to shit on whatever. I just it's an interesting thing that the way that you see songs, I guess. Cut it out.
Yeah, I will tell you, I liked Mood more than I liked Palm Angels.
Palm Angels in the Sky by 42 Doug. I knew you'd hate this song. I just want to see what you say.
I listened to these two back to back both times, and after Mood ends and this one starts, I'm like, I kind of want to go back to
It's a very different energy there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the song is for me.
That's the nicest way to put it. Okay. Did you feel the same? Because I would say that the way that he starts off aggressive and he ends uncomfortably aggressive is the kind of shift I'm talking about, where it goes towards something else in the end. Is that the thing, or was it just the way that you can't understand what he's saying? Or
I think that it was too aggressive. I don't think I was in the right headspace either time for that much aggro, dude. I listen, I'm telling you, most of the time I'm just chilling, listening to music, working. And when stuff like that comes on, I'm like, okay.
I
and
warned
I know
you.
that I was like excited to get something that was this aggressive. That was aggressive.
Okay, but does my point still make sense, where like you cannot play this shit in the car with a stranger because they're gonna judge you and think that you're a criminal?
I would never put someone who I don't know, who's like, if like, all right, so even somebody I kind of know, if I don't think that they're into this music, I still wouldn't play it for them. I'd only play it for somebody who I'm like convinced would like this song.
It's like a me.
Yeah. Like if I knew this song and you didn't, and we were gonna go on a car ride, I'd be like, I better put this on for Joe. So, like, I think you'd like it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's a great lifting song. You know?
Oh, dude, I imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like if you're doing like sprints. Or like bag work, if like you're practicing for boxing or something like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I could definitely. There's like a vibe that
There's
you can get.
There's a murderous energy in this song.
Yeah, there's like a real serious like angry vibe out of this song. But like, I think for me, just generally chilling, just writing code and like drinking water out of a water bottle and eating like food. I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't think it's the right vibe for it.
That's something that Tynan said. He came to visit me in Seattle a couple of years ago, and he was still asleep, and I had some work I had to do in the morning, so I woke up early and did some stuff, and I had my laptop out, and I was listening to some Young Thug or whatever on a quiet whatever thing, and he woke up and he was just like, this is like the craziest thing to me, that you're just doing, kind of nerd stuff, but then in your headphones is like the wildest rap music ever. It's just like that kind of works for me, but it's kind of not. It's the opposite, I guess, for you.
Yeah. I think that I just need to get used to it more. Yeah. Because when I listen to it, it's like, it's so different. I have to, like, my brain like focuses in on it in a way that it doesn't necessarily focus in on.
Oh, dude.
Like, it doesn't even have to focus in on most of the stuff I listen to. Like, let's be honest, you described at least half of the stuff I've sent you as like sparse.
Yes.
Like BPM, and those are like 3.
Yeah, well, I've described your stuff as background music because I view it as something that really doesn't capture my attention. So it, to me, is background music. But for you, it demands too much attention. You know what I mean? It's kind of the thing for us. Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad you listened to it. I'm happy you gave it a shot,
Yeah. I want to give Mood another shot because I don't think I disliked it. I just think that's one of those songs where I need to listen to it more to really like feel it. Because the thing too is like I think it fits my vibe.
Mm-hmm. That beat, well. I think.
So I don't even think it's like opposite the vibe. I don't know. Yeah. I think there's just some work there to be done.
Yeah. Lil Uzi Vert is one of my favorite artists, maybe the past few years or so. Like I didn't really love his most recent album, but I think he, in terms of being able to capture that kind of just like a fun energy while keeping it, I don't know, it's just like pleasant, even though the things that he doesn't talk about or the things that he talks about aren't always pleasant. Like he'll be talking about murder and stuff like that, but you're just like, wow, like I don't know, it's just fun. Like, he just makes really fun music.
But my song of the week is "Put a Flower in Your Pocket" by the Arcs. Okay. And I think that it feels like a hippie song.
like a sounds like the 70s or sounds like...
I think it sounds like something out of the 70s.
Okay.
Just like the way the dude like sings, the beat, the melody, like it just feels like a song out of the 70s. Like the words don't really make much sense. Like it just I don't know. Like it feels like something that like somebody on psychedelics would be like, yeah, put a flower in your pocket.
Okay, cool. Would you say it's sparse like the others, or is it something else?
I really do think it sounds so similar to something in the 70s. So if you think some music out of the 70s is occasionally sparse, then yes. But if you don't think so, then no.
Okay, interesting.
Not like Jimi Hendrix. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I actually don't know much about the 70s.
It gives me big hippie vibes, is what I would say.
I like hippie vibes every now and then.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
It's an interesting song.
I'll report back.
Please do. That's all I have for Song of the Week.
Awesome. I'm going to switch it up, and I have a rapid fire question this week. Also, Alex wrote this under my notes, and I think he might have meant to put this in his, but his question is, does Little Dicky fucking suck? Which I think is hilarious, but maybe we'll talk about that some other time when he's here.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, so I can't form an opinion.
He's the ex-boyfriend guy.
Who?
No, I usually do want to be that. He has a song. He's a comedy rapper.
Okay.
He has a song on a show on FX as well called Dave. Anyway, my rapid fire question is kind of in the vein of last week, how your quote was about time spent thinking is not time spent doing anything or whatever the hell it was.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of my other quote to kind of go alongside it was "Don't overthink shit" by Kenny Beats, kind of a more simplified version of the same energy. So I have two rap lines, and one I just want to tell you. I just want you to tell me which one you think is more effective at conveying the message, and you get extra super bonus points if you can name the rapper who says either of them. Okay.
Okay.
The first line is, "There's leaders and there's followers, but I'd rather be a dick than a swallower." Right? That's line number one.
All right.
The second one is, "I would rather be a coyote than be a coward."
Okay. Are these from the same rapper?
No, they're different people.
Okay, that first one sounds really like something from Kanye.
Yes.
The second one, I don't know any rapper who would know much about coyotes.
Okay, well, which line do you like more, I guess? Because you get your bonus points for Kanye. You could
Can
guess
you repeat the second one again?
I would rather be a coyote than be a coward.
I feel like using like a rabbit or something there. One's like a coward or a coyote. Like coyotes aren't really that brave either.
Well, coward happens to rhyme with the line from before.
Yeah,
but coyote
that's what I
and
figured.
coward.
I'm gonna go with the coyote or coward line just because I connect more with the word coyote. Also, I don't really connect with swallowing dicks.
I don't really connect with swallowing dicks is like a amazing Yazeed quote. So thank you. The second one is Young Thug. The song is called Dome if you want to look it up, but it's pretty good. But no, I agree.
Where's Young Thug from?
Huh?
Can I ask?
He's from Atlanta.
Where Young Thug is from?
Yeah, he's from Atlanta.
Interesting.
Yeah. Actually, Kanye was also born in Atlanta, but he's from Chicago because he grew up in Chicago.
I see. What really surprises me there is that he's using coyote in a way that's like, you can either be like a coyote, like brave like a coyote, whereas in reality, coyotes are like kind of skittish. Like they're not super brave animals.
No.
That's like, I'm confused. But continue, sorry.
No. That's totally fair. I don't know anything about coyotes, which is crazy because I live around them. But like, the line itself, I guess, kind of on a surface level, is you understand exactly what he's saying, and it's very effective. And I guess it's kind of like my thing with Young Thug. I could talk about Young Thug for literal hours. I love that man, but he has this thing where he's able to he has a line where he says something that he like certainly concocted out of his own brain. And he gets a message across in such a way that, like, if you're on the same kind of frequency as him, it just clicks, and you don't have to think about it too much. But if you actually try to analyze it, it maybe falls apart. But it's just something like, it just hits right if you feel it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt what he was going for there. Yeah. But when I was like, a coyote or a coward, okay.
It's also in the song, the way he delivers the line, like, Young Thug, most of the way that his music kind of affects you is the way that he delivers lines. So obviously I don't have the same kind of thing here, but no, yeah, I agree. The second line is better. I love the Kanye line, but it's a very Kanye line to say.
Kanye talks about swallowing dicks a lot, or just dicks in general a lot for a man who is presumably straight, is all I'm saying.
Rappers talk about their dicks a lot. Rappers constantly.
Yeah, but he talks about other people's a lot too.
When has Kanye ever talked about someone else's dick?
They're swallowing, but I guess not about other people's, but...
well, he's not talking about anybody's specific dick. He's saying there's leaders and there's followers, but I'd rather be a dick than a swallower.
Yeah.
Like, if I have to
You'd rather be putting it in someone than having it.
No, I would rather, this is my interpretation, I would rather take the negatives of being a leader than the reality of being a follower. Like the kind of bad thing of being the leader like I am, right? Kind of an abrasive asshole who says things that hurt people's feelings sometimes. But I'm a leader. And there's leaders and there's followers. But I'd rather be a dick than a swallower. You know?
I guess that's true. I don't know. Are you sure these two lines mean similar things?
Maybe. I don't know. They kind of give a similar kind of thing, but like...
There's a similar vibe of like giving people two choices, but I feel like the choice between being a coyote or a coward is like, are you brave enough to like be out there? But like being a leader versus being a follower is more like, do you want the responsibility or not? Because the other thing too is like coyotes are pretty solitary. Like I don't know coyotes as pack animals.
See, I think that's what I mean. Like, you're reading too much into the specifics of what a coyote is. But if you kind of look at it on a surface level, rather be a coyote than be a coward. Like, you have a choice. You could either be a follower or a leader. You could be a aggressor.
But that's what I mean. Is that I think that Young Thug's line here isn't, do you want to be a follower or a leader, right? Because like Kanye's line is he'd rather be responsible for giving people criticism, right? That's like what a dick manager would do. But right? I guess like just criticize constantly.
I don't even know if it's about
like
criticism.
A coyote's fairly solitary. I feel like Young Thug's is more like, do you want to be like
strong or weak?
Yeah, like strong or weak, or like do you want to be like out there? Like, do you want to put yourself out there like a coyote, or do you want to be like locked in the barn like a coward?
Yeah, but it's kind of the same. Like that's the same thing. I think. I mean, maybe not quite 100% match up, but the idea that like being a dick is not a good trait. But if it came down to it, I'd rather be a dick than a follower. I want to be.
Do you agree with that?
To some extent. I mean, that's kind of how certain things, like in history, for example, you kind of need people to be brave and not really fall in line with the norm to make change that overall benefits people. And maybe the individual in charge of that change was kind of a dick. Maybe George Washington was a dick. I don't know. Probably. But like America's pretty cool, So like.
Somebody said a crazy stat, like Washington had his first slave at like 11.
Yeah, he's a dick,
wild.
Right? Bad person,
Crazy.
Sure.
At 11, I was not responsible enough for anything.
yeah, that's bad. But whatever. But the point is, like, maybe sometimes unlikable people can drive change for the better.
Interesting point, and probably historically true, right? Like, Genghis Khan changed so much about the world. Arguably, pretty messed up person. So,
Arguably,
yeah, pretty messed up. Basically, invented biological warfare single-handedly. So there is that.
Yeah, and now kids, we have biological warfare. You're welcome. Shout out to Genghis.
I mean, he also like established like trade and forced what would have been antiquity, like the writings from antiquity and back into Western Europe, right? Yeah. By basically decimating most like the Arab territories. Sure. A lot of interesting stuff. But anyway.
No, I guess to bring it back to Kanye, he changed music forever and changed the way that people sample music, the way that people kind of add personality and emotion into rap music in a way that doesn't necessarily need to be aggressive or violent, and the way that you can kind of be experimental with sounds and whatever. Kanye West fucking did so much for hip hop and all that kind of shit, and maybe he's a dick. You know, he'd rather be a dick than a swallower. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think I actually take the opposite side. I'd rather not be in charge. I really don't think I'm a person who should be in charge. I think I'm more of a supportive element.
I guess everybody could be a leader in some sort of specific thing. You could even be a leader as someone who doesn't necessarily run something. You know what I mean? You can kind of be in charge of something that you're in control of. You could still be a leader in that way instead of just kind of letting things happen to you. I guess that's kind of how I read it.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think, like, personality-wise, I enjoy being in charge of other people. I think that's why I like the Young Thug line, right? Because to me, what he was saying was being a coyote or a coward. A coyote is kind of like a solitary thing, right? Like, it's just out there doing its thing. That's why I connected to that one a little bit more, maybe. Because that's kind of like how I think of myself in some way. Like, I don't want to be, like, in charge of other people. I just kind of want to be out there doing my own thing, right? Like, I don't want to have to, like, worry about, like, whether I'm mean or not to other people. I just want to, like, do the things that make me happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but then you could still take the charge to say, I'm going to go and change this in my life to make myself happier. In that case, you're a leader of one.
Yourself, but I mean, I think that's just, I don't know if I would say that's a leader so much as executing, like, personal shit. There's a term for it? Like, you're
doing necessities or whatever.
Nah, it's one where it's like your rights to exercise.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, yeah, basically, like, I think it's like that's just exercising my ability as a human individual to change myself or to, like, work on myself. Whereas I think of a leader as somebody who enforces or builds up other people, basically, like, who either imposes or maintains or, like, helps other people build themselves up. And I don't really think of myself in that regard. I think I'm more of a supportive element in that I prefer to help people out than I think I prefer giving, like, criticism or advice, if that makes sense. I just like to be, I don't know. I don't know. I don't agree with Kanye West's line here about those being the only two options. And I think Young Thug's line is more about, do you want to be responsible for yourself personally, right? Like a coyote is, right? Because nothing out there is going to want to step up to help a coyote. Nothing. And the coward's basically saying somebody else has to take care of me. So for the coyote, it's like, do you want to be a coyote? Like, do you want to be out there, like, possibly alone, just doing your own thing with no real support network, like with no real, like, support developments? Or do you want to be, like, entirely cowed and, like, somebody has to hold your hand through everything? And I'd rather be a coyote in that regard. But I don't want to be in charge of people. I don't want to be the alpha wolf, Joseph. I want to be, like, the alpha wolf's brother who's just hanging out and, like, helps on the hunts and stuff.
You'd be a gatherer, not a hunter. How about that?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd rather be. Yeah. I think I'd rather be a gatherer than a hunter. Well,
it's kind of a separate
probably,
thing, but
yeah. I think I'd be better off. I think I'd be better at being a gatherer than a hunter.
No.
Just from experience with my dog, I don't enjoy running off into the wilderness after another animal.
No. Also, speaking of that, I was watching this show called Alone on Netflix. You should watch that. I feel like you could do that show if you continue your, like, a wilderness man type lifestyle. It's basically people get helicoptered onto this remote island and then just have to survive as long as they can by themselves. It's crazy.
Oh my god, dude. No joke. Like 90% of the work I do every day, not like my work, but like my outside of my extracurriculars are entirely built around, I would like to go to northern Canada and just explore the taiga there. And, like, be out there for, like, 2 weeks. Like, just me, some supplies, something to stop a polar bear from eating me.
Yeah.
And just maneuvering out there and seeing that part of the world, because like there's some parts of northern Canada that no one has ever been to ever, basically. Like there's never been a human population that lived there.
Yeah. This season of the show is in Canada, so you might be interested in season 6 of Alone.
Cool. I would love to just become a mountain person and like write code and then like go on like a month away to just like be in a remote location and come back and write code some more. That's like my ideal life, I think.
Or you like write your code on a pen and paper and mail it to me, and then I like compile it for you.
Oh my god, no, I can't do that. If I've learned anything from like doing like pen and paper coding is I mess up all the time because I forget what like, you know, like JavaScript is like the for each and then like the find index functions as like part of the array prototype. I forgot the find index. I had to go look up how do you find which index contains an element in a JavaScript array, and Stack Overflow is like, yeah, in ES6 they added the like find element function, find index function. Yeah, it's just like yeah, it's like right in the name too.
I need autocomplete in my IDE or else I don't know how to function.
Yeah, a little bit. I get that. VS Code. That's where that one comes in handy. Yeah.
All right, that's all I had for my questions. Did you have anything else, or is it time to wrap up?
I think it's time to wrap up.
All right, take us away, Yazeed.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, all the music was done by our friend Tynan or at Nitan on Bandcamp. You can catch us on Twitter at homegamesio, or our website is homegames.io. Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we'll see you next week. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. By the way, the date today is 8/9. I don't know what 8 month is, but it is that month.
It is August 9th, but you'll be hearing this on August 19th. So
yes.